Hello, Knowledge List Silver Freedom here with my video on why silver should be $320 an ounce right now. Again, we're going back over this silver to gold ratio, but for 2016. For those of you with the ADD, let me give it to you quick. Right now, silver to gold ratio is 77 to 1, gold is 1278, silver is 1647. That ratio is ridiculous. Total silver available is 7 to 1. That would be your gross supply ratio. That ratio is going to give you about $182 to 1. But your net supply, what's available after production, the only silver you have left is about 25% of the silver is available, about 45% of the gold is available. That ratio is 4 to 1, which would make the current silver price $320 an ounce. So anywhere from $182 to $320 an ounce would really be the realistic silver price today. It would not be overpriced. Now for the rest of you that don't have ADD, I can go through this in a little more detail. Again, like I said, gold price is $12.78. Silver price is $16.47. That's 77 to 1. That's absolutely ridiculous. And you're going to see there's a lot. I've got a lot of different ratios here. That's the first ratio, and that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense at all. The next ratio is your, what I call the production ratio or your efficiency ratio. When you own a mine, these strip mines, this is a truck. This is the Cat Diesel, right? Hauls, on average, is 300 tons of ore. With the silver mine, you're getting about 2 to 3 ounces per ton is the average, I believe. There's more efficient and less efficient than that. With gold, your average is around 2 to 3 grains of gold per ton. So silver is 13 times more efficient. So for the same money that you can get 1 ounce of gold in the same amount of time, effort, labor, you get 1 ounce of gold, you'll get 13 ounces of silver. So silver is 13 times more efficient. That's probably why this ratio keeps coming up, because this is really your true cost of production is this. When I did my cost of production, I looked up a few mining companies. Because they're public companies, they report their numbers, so you can get their annual reports, figure out how much silver they did for the year, and then you can figure out what their true cost is. Their short-term costs are around $30 an ounce. What happens when they keep lowering the silver price, these companies keep fudging their accounting to make it look like their production is cheaper than what it is. You can't mine gold. This ratio right here proves you can't mine silver for less than gold unless you have one of these really high-grade strikes. You just can't do it. So they fudge their numbers. And if you look at their long-term expenses, that's your true expense. You have stuff to buy, dump trucks, equipment. You have to look for new mines. Your total cost of that mine is about $80 to $90 an ounce. For a gold mine, that's around $1,100 to $1,200 an ounce. That just so happens to be the same 13 to 1 ratio. So the cost of production, your ratio is 13 to 1. So I would buy silver all the way to 13 to 1. At some point, they have to stop the manipulation. If this silver is less than 13 to 1, you know it's manipulated, because this is what it costs to get it out of the ground. That's your efficiency ratio right there. That gets the current silver price to $98 an ounce. The next thing is going to be your mining ratio. Okay, that's how efficient it is, because silver is more concentrated. Gold, they've used up all the easy gold, so now this gold's spread all over. You're only getting 3 grains per ton. That's really low. That's really low. So now you're digging in these mines, so how much do you get out of the ground? That's your next ratio, is your mining ratio. Your mining ratio is going to be 8.5 to 1. And that we have the numbers for. The Silver Institute started reporting again, and you can see here's your total mine production right here. So 885 million ounces of silver. You get about 104 million ounces of gold. That's 8.5 to 1. That's been the exact same number for the last 5 years now. When I did it the last time, it came out to, I think, 8.4. This time it came out to 8.5, so it's basically right in that same area. So your mining ratio is 9 to 1. That gets you to $142 silver. So that's very realistic. So even though silver is more efficient, it's cheaper to get it out of the ground, which could lower the price a little bit. You also don't get as much silver because we're using a higher percent. You don't get as much in a percentage, okay? So you don't get as much even though it's cheaper to get, if you understand what I'm saying. So your total ratio right there would make the silver price 142. Your next ratio is going to be the gross supply, because there's going to be some government sales, at least there used to be. When I did my last video, that was in 2013, I said they would probably run out, which they have. So there's no more government selling. The governments are out of silver, it looks like, or the silver they're going to sell. They're not departing with anymore if they do have it. But we still have some scrapping, but with silver it's declining. With gold, the scrapping has actually gone up and the mining has gone up. 16 was a pretty good year for gold. So here's your total supply of silver is just over 1 billion ounces. And with gold you get 147 million ounces. That gets your ratio to 7-to-1. This has actually gone down a little bit. I think the last time I did this, I did it a little bit different. But yeah, this has gone down a little bit, this 7-to-1. That gets you to 182. So this would really be very realistic too, because this is your total supply. So it's cheaper to get silver out of the ground. There's not quite as much silver as there is gold. I mean, as a ratio. Your ratio goes down. But now there's less scrapping and less recycling, so now your silver supply is even tightening up again. So now you have only 7 ounces per 1 ounce of gold. Again, that gets you to $182 per ounce. The next ratio is going to be your net supply. That's how much you have left over, because you have jewelry, silverware, and industrial fabrication. All these things reduce your supply. You have the coin bars right here, and you have your ETF build right here. Is how much silver you have left over to invest in. So if you want to invest in silver or gold, you're not getting all that silver to invest in, because half that's used in production. We still have computers, cell phones, laptops, all the technology, all the video games, just all that stuff uses silver. Automobiles, everything with the computer uses silver. So you only have so much left. So if you want to invest, so if demand really picks up and investors are after this stuff, you're only going to have a 4-to-1 ratio. And this is where I come up with the $320, because at the 1278 divided by 4, that's going to get you to $320, and that's very realistic. Maybe not today, but it could be today. It wouldn't take much demand. They're a little bit negative every year on the silver. Just a little bit more kicks in, they're going to be just negative enough to push that demand. So we have to have an honest market. Once demand goes to that next level, they have to have an honest market. So that's where I get the 320-to-1. The next ratio is your total available above ground silver. This is going to look like it's not as bad as it is. Right now, I estimate there's about 2 to 3 billion ounces of silver. Probably 3 billion ounces is a pretty good number. 1 billion of that comes from the ETFs, Chase, and the COMEX, which is probably about 800 million ounces. I don't think it's quite 1 billion ounces. And then the other 2 billion ounces is from stackers. If you look here, it shows you how many coins and bars were produced. And I'm assuming that these are still in strong hands. I started stacking here. I haven't sold a single ounce. So all those coins are still available. These older coins, older than this, are probably coming into this scrap and recycling. I would think jewelry and silverware, this stuff is going round robin. The old stuff is coming up, getting scrapped, recycled, and coming out as new. So that's probably a round robin with the old jewelry, maybe the really old coins and bars, and then the silverware. But these bars aren't. I don't believe anyone's selling their eagles and maples and those aren't getting melted down. You build an eagle or maple, they'll stay. So that's about 2 billion ounces right there. That gets us to this ratio: 1 ounce of silver for every ounce of gold because there's 187 tons of gold, which is about 6 billion ounces. The only difference is this 3 ounces of gold, or this 3 ounces of silver, is a 3-year supply. We use 1 billion ounces every year, so that's only a 3-year supply of silver above ground. So that's a lot tighter supply, where even though this is only twice as much gold, that's like a 43-year supply. So you have 14 times the supply above ground. So this ratio is a 1 to 14 ratio of silver to gold of what's in inventory. So silver is very tight. You're basically running on a year-to-year basis because those stacks with those coins, that's not really in the marketplace. Those coins, you really only have 1 billion ounces to play with, which makes this ratio about 1 to 6, like I was showing the last time. I think it was 1 to 5, something like that. So that's what we got. So this is what we're currently paying, 77 to 1. Again, your efficiency, it's 13 times more efficient, or 13 times cheaper to mine silver than gold. So those miners saying they can mine silver for $13, $17, $20 an ounce out of line, it's about $90 an ounce because you're 13 times more efficient than gold. That's simple math, just from the grade. There could be a difference in chemicals that you use to produce it, but I think they're pretty much, those costs are about the same. This is what you actually get out of the ground. You get 9 ounces, 8.5, 9 ounces out. This is what actually comes out of the ground. So you know silver is more efficient. You get less out of the ground. Your total supply, there's more scrapping with gold. So gold catches up to silver, reducing this ratio to 7 to 1, which would be about $180 an ounce. And then you have your, what you can actually buy is 4 to 1. So 4 ounces, your net supply to 1 ounce of gold gets you to $320 an ounce.